At 95, Clint Eastwood admits, "She was the only one who could do that to me." Clint Eastwood was born Clinton Eastwood Jr. on May 31, 1930 in San Francisco, California. Eastwood grew up in the midst of the Great Depression, having a humble childhood that shaped his strong personality and instilled in him a great work ethic. His childhood was spent in constant relocation throughout California because of his father's job as a steel worker and migrant farmhand. These early years instilled in him the virtues of perseverance, humility, and self-sufficiency that would later become the hallmark of both his on-screen persona and his off-screen personality. Eastwood initially became well-known in the late 1950s when he was hired as Rowdy Yates in the television Western drama Rawhide. The series, aired from 1959 to 1965, was very popular and offered Eastwood his initial success. But his foray into international fame in the mid-1960s etched his name in movie history. Partnering with Italian director Sergio Leone, Eastwood acted in the pioneering Dollars trilogy, A Fistful of Dollars, 1964. For a Few Dollars More, 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. Spaghetti westerns launched the world to the legendary man with no name, stoic anti-hero whose silence was strength and moral grayness won over fans. Eastwood's performance revolutionized the Western genre, injecting it with gritty realism far removed from the cleaner, more conventional cowboy image of the preceding decades. During the 1970s and 1980s, Eastwood went on to further develop, starring in and directing a run of critically praised and box office triumphs. He brought on board another iconic figure, Dirty Harry Callahan, in Dirty Harry, 1971. The tough-talking, no-nonsense San Francisco policeman became the embodiment of justice administered beyond the confines of bureaucracy, a theme that struck a chord with a generation of people familiar with escalating crime and disillusionment with the authorities. The movie gave rise to a string of sequels and solidified Eastwood's status as a gritty, unapologetic action star. Aside from his work as an actor, Clint Eastwood evolved into being one of Hollywood's best and busiest directors. His directorial work, which started with Play Misty for Me in 1971, highlighted his sharp eye for narrative and his skill at creating emotionally charged character-driven stories. Movies like Unforgiven, 1992, which received Academy Award for Best Picture and Best Director, Mystic River, 2003, Million Dollar Baby, 2004, and American Sniper, 2014 demonstrated a director with the ability to probe the human condition with sensitivity, depth, and nuance. Unforgiven specifically set a benchmark. It dismantled the legends of the Old West and presented a darkly reflective portrayal of violence, morality, and redemption. Through these films, Eastwood not only reconstituted himself, but also made substantial contributions to the development of American cinema, such as several Academy Awards, Golden Globes, and an American Film Institute Lifetime Achievement Award. With all his accolades, he is still a very humble man, well known for his stoicism, understated approach, and unassuming sense of dignity. Behind the scenes, Eastwood has led a many-sided existence. He's been a political figure himself, elected as mayor of Carmel by the Sea, California between 1986 and 1988. A skilled jazz saxophonist, a devoted father of 8, and a strong environmental activist. What is most impressive about Clint Eastwood is that he never stops reinventing himself. While numerous contemporaries had disappeared from public view, Eastwood continued to be not just pertinent, but also creatively significant. Even in his 90s, he still worked as an actor, director, and a force contravening cinematic conventions with recent productions such as Cry Macho 2021 testifying to his undepleted imagination. He is among the few entertainment figures whose work bridges generations and genres, leaving an unforgettable imprint on westerns, thrillers, dramas, war movies, and biopics. Clint Eastwood, famous for his tough on-screen persona and continued presence in Hollywood, also drew widespread attention for his flamboyant and multifaceted personal life, especially his many romantic involvements throughout the decades. Often regarded as a modern-day Casanova, Eastwood cultivated a reputation for being irresistibly charismatic and elusive in matters of the heart. Throughout his life, he has been romantically linked to a long list of women from both inside and outside the entertainment industry. Some of the women he was known to date or be involved with include actresses like Anita Lois, the Vavoom Ivan Doran, and stuntwoman and dancer Roxanne Tunis. His romantic conquests also included renowned journalist and food writer Gail Green, as well as French cinema icon Catherine Deneuve, whose short affair with Eastwood was the subject of extensive tabloid gossip. One of Eastwood's most high-profile and well-publicized affairs was with actress Andrea Lockcatch, but he also had connections with actresses and models such as Jill Banner, the sensual singer Kayleigh Smith, and up-and-coming star Jamie Rose. Some other names associated with the love life of Eastwood are Hollywood actresses Inger Stevens, Joan Harris, and Susan St. James, and also activist Jean Seaborg. He was also linked with lesser-known women like Megan Rose, Jane, Bridget Byrne, and Christina Sandra, the latter of whom became a longtime companion during his old age. While Eastwood remained a public figure with a high profile, he would sometimes choose to keep many of these relationships private, further cultivating the sense of intrigue surrounding his already mystifying personality. On December 19, 1953, Clint Eastwood, who was 23 years old at the time, married Maggie Johnson, a secretary and model, whom he had met on a blind date in the early part of the same year. This marriage signaled the opening of an important chapter in his life. In spite of the guise of a traditional marriage, their love life was complicated by Eastwood's early success in Hollywood and the temptations that it brought. They later became parents to 2 children, a son, Kyle Eastwood, who was born in 1968 and would later grow up to become a successful jazz bassist as well as composer, and a daughter, Allison Eastwood, who was born in 1972 and later went into acting and directing careers. Eastwood's infidelities, however, put an extreme strain on the marriage, and by 1984, the couple had split after 30 years together. Their divorce in 1984 was said to be one of the most costly celebrity splits at the time, and Johnson was paid an estimated $25 to $30 million. While still legally married to Johnson, Eastwood began a significant relationship with dancer and stuntwoman Roxanne Tunis, which lasted from 1959 to 1973. Their romance was mostly kept under wraps due to Eastwood's marriage, but it led to the birth of his daughter Kimber in 1964. Kimber was raised by Tunis, and her paternity was not publicly acknowledged until many years later when Eastwood's extended family and personal history began to draw greater media scrutiny. Although it was secretive, this affair was a significant factor in Eastwood's early private life and was one of the initial signs of his trend of simultaneous romantic involvements. In 1975, Eastwood began one of the most publicly exposed and creatively valuable relationships of his career with actress Andrea Lockcatch. Their on-screen collaboration was complemented by their off-screen relationship as the couple appeared together in many of Eastwood's most well-known films, such as The Outlaw Josie Wales, Every Which Way But Loose, and Sudden Impact. The two had lived together for more than 14 years, during which Locke had become one of the most notable companions of Eastwood. Yet, even as close professionally and romantically, Eastwood was reportedly involved with other women at the same time and allegedly fathered at least 3 children while with Locke, a bit of information that later created controversy and litigation between the two. The relationship turned sour in April 1989 and resulted in the well-publicized court battle, during which Locke had accused Eastwood of dishonesty and career sabotage. One of the secret affairs Eastwood had during his stint with Locke was with a flight attendant named Jaceline Reeves. Their secret fling for many years produced 2 children, Scott Eastwood, who was born in 1986, and Catherine Eastwood, who was born in 1988. Reeves kept both children out of the spotlight for many years, and Eastwood's fatherhood went largely unreported until Scott started to pursue an acting career in the 2000s. Scott went on to become